Hey, it's Kathy McAllister of T-Wife Creations. So this evening, I am going to finish painting this piece. So the other day, I did this ombre background, and I also did the metallic lid. And I've just been itching to paint this because I love snowmen, although I'm going to make this a snow lady. So I've decided that she looks girly enough, and I'm going to use pinks because I had already used the fuchsia pop right here. So I'm going to bring some more pink in and those tones. But anyway, I'll get rid of my face now like magic. Wow, it's always amazing. And we'll get down to painting this piece. And I think that I will probably start with the trees. So I want to do some kind of different colors with the trees now. I want to bring in some of the blues that we've already used as well, like in the snowman. So I'm just going to see what I can do to bring in some of these tones that are already in the background. Okay. So there is a green that I've never even used before. It's called Fairway. Yeah, Fairway Green. I've even still got the plastic on this. So I really have not used it. It's one of the new DecoArt colors. And it's pretty vibrant green. Let me move that in. And I'm not usually into kind of the, I don't know what you call them, base colors, the brights or the true colors. I always like variations like jeweled or muted or something like that. And this one is very bright, but I wanted to try it. So here goes. We will see what it's like. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of coats down. And I'm going to go ahead and sponge. I've mentioned in other videos, one of the reasons I like sponging is it gives you good coverage, but it also adds a little bit of texture to your pieces. So you get like these little bubbly things going on. And as it dries, it actually leaves that as a texture. So yeah, you can see it. There you go. So that's one of the reasons I like sponging on laser cut pieces. But you do get really good coverage as well. I mean, I still am going to go and do 2 rounds, 2 coats. And probably I'll come back with a brown here, but I'm just going to do the whole thing right now. So I've got 2 coats of the Fairway Green on there. Now, some of the colors that were released at the same time are these 2 colors that I used in the ombre background. So there's gingham blue and Grecian blue. And sometimes when they release colors, so these are the 2025 colors, that you'll get like complementary tones in them. And also Dragon Teal was released at the same time. So you can kind of see there's some tones in there that are similar. And that one's got some green in it, green and blue in it. And that one is Mystic Teal. and this is mermaid tail. So what I wanted to try to do is make these more like a blue spruce. So you're going to have a little bit more like blue-green in it. So I'm going to do some dry brushing on this so that these aren't so solidly green, that there's going to be some other tones in it. I have no idea how this is going to work. That's what makes it fun. I like to experiment with this stuff. So I'm going to go with the dragon teal first, because the blues, the actual blues, are a little lighter. So this one is a little darker. So I'm switching to dry brushing as opposed to sponging, and try to get most of that off on a paper towel. And I'm just going to see what happens. So it's going to be more that blue spruce look. Because a lot of pine trees, when you look at them, they're not like a green grass kind of color, are they? They kind of have a number of kind of tones and hue to them that can go anywhere from like a minty color to a blue-green color, and you'll get a sheen off the needles. So I'm just trying to capture some of that. And also by introducing some of the bluer tones, it helps to bring in the background, the blues that we used in the background. And since we sponged this, you'll see that the dry brush is actually picking up. Let's see if it focuses. It's picking up on the texture. Now, that was a lighter color. I'm going to go slightly darker. So the mermaid tail is slightly darker. I want to take this kind of out to the edges a little bit. It's not a lot darker, but it is a little darker. So I'm just using my dirty brush. So I'm, kind of building color with my brush. So I'm not going to clean it off. So I'm keeping the darker out of the middle. It's more towards the edges. That was a little bit wetter, but it's okay. The wetter brush is working here. Let me zoom out again. I was zooming in more because of the glare. It's very subtle the way that this is working. Okay, now, so if you look on the palette paper, you can kind of see the difference. This is a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. Now I'm going to do something different still. I'm going to come back with the Grecian blue, which is lighter and bluer. And I'm going to use my dirty brush. So that means that you're not really going to have that full Grecian blue because you still have the other colors in there. And I'm going to go more towards the middle again. I'm going to introduce some of that blue. And I'm kind of swiping it like you would, you'd see the needles go, right? They're going out in that sweeping fashion. So it gives you a feeling of flow on your tree. Yeah, that's shaping up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's a little different than just straight fairway green. So you can see how it really changes. Okay, so now I'm going to take the gingham blue, which is lighter still, and I'm going to come back and use my dirty brush. And this is just really light. So I'm just thinking about doing using my darker, yeah, so the mermaid tail is the darkest. Although, that said, yeah, I'll go with that. I'm just going to see if I put in some shading. Sorry. Just curious. I don't really know though, because I'm going to lose some of this nice highlighting that I did too when I do that. So let's just see. I badly need to, got a little bit too much liquid, I think. That is not an overly strong shade. So I'm going to repeat. It's not a hugely darker color either. So that's also kind of an issue. So I'm just trying to hit the underside of the needles. So keeping the brightness, look how wet that is. Keeping the brightness at the top. So the lighter color, well, we had gingham blue, but we also were using Blue Haven in the ombre background, and that's much lighter. So we're going to think about lightness and snow on the tops of the brushes. So again, brushes, tree. So again, I'm using my dirty brush, and you get an interesting look when you pull your dry brush across the edges of a piece. So basically, they're helping you. I really didn't want to get that at the bottom. The lighter should just be towards the top and not the bottom. But it kind of needs to be in the motion of the needles. I don't know. It's it's like I'm completely wiping out all the shading that I did. Oh well, I'm just going to go with it because that appears to be what the tree wants. So I'm just going to go with it. If I want to come back with some stronger color at the bottom, I can do that. Some of this is coming off really light, but that's okay. So you're trying to keep that swooping motion going. That's a little heavy, but it really doesn't matter. So we can see as we go if we want to put in Snow White, you know, to give us more highlight and the feeling of snow. So now what I'm going to do is add in a little brown. I have this special product here that a friend introduced me to. She uses it a lot on her gingerbread men when she's painting them because there's texture, lightly textured acrylic. I had never heard of it, and she ordered some from me, and because I get my paint through DecoArt, so she asked me to order this from DecoArt for her, so I did, and I'm like, what is it? And she was telling me that it has this texture, so it, like if you use it on gingerbread or like twigs or trunks or whatever, because if you think on it, like your branches have texture, they have bark, so that just seemed to be a cool idea. That's going to need, well, it doesn't have to have 2 coats. It's fine if the green shows through. Let me get the little twig branches. So again, this is, you can use any brown, but this is suede and the color is coffee. I brushed that one first coat on instead of using a sponge, and now I'm going to return to using a sponge because I want a little bit more texture. So this has texture in it, which is great. Plus, I want the texture from the sponging. And I did use a second coat of the brown. I brushed that on. All right, so I'm jumping around a little bit. I set aside the things I was working on, and so I have these snowflakes on this piece, and so I could just paint them snow white. But I have this product, Dina Wakley Media Gloss Spray, and this is her white, and I really, really, really like them, and I have them on my website. So they come out like it says gloss. It's a gloss spray. It's almost like you're varnishing at the same time as you're painting. But I haven't really promoted them because as much as I love them, every single time you spray with these, you must completely clean out the nozzle and the little pump spray in there. Otherwise, the next time you use it, this will be clogged up. So one reason I do like this product, and normally it works just fine in the spray as long as you're cleaning everything out each time, is whenever you have pieces like these snowflakes and they have a lot of exposed edges, and the exposed edges are, you know, the cut marks from the laser cutter, all of this blackness here, it always wants to just leach out, and your white inevitably becomes yellow. So this paint with the glaze in it kind of helps on some of that tannins coming out. But you have to use a lot of coats of it, so it's just soaking in right now. So I use a combination of things to try to get this to seal. Okay, I think I got this to spray now. So this is just really soaking in. So I'll use a combination of the Snow White from Americana, DecoArt Americana, and this. So this is kind of a process. It takes a little bit of time to get your snowflakes nice and covered. So that coverage was a little bit better. I have white all over this thing now. So I got those fairly well sealed. They're not completely sealed, but I'll probably go ahead and put some top coat on them and glitter them, and that will help as well, so you don't really see that the tannins, the brown coming through. Okay, so moving on to the next thing, I'm going to return to my trees. So my dry brushes, probably I've had a bit of time. Well, it's still wet, so it's probably okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add in some of the darker mermaid tail or dragon teal. Let me try the dragon teal first. Mermaid's tail is a little bit darker. Okay, go back out again. So dragon teal. Just gonna go up the bottoms. And then I'm gonna go back with the mermaid's tail, which is the darker one. Kind of in the same area. And now I'm going to get a different brush because I don't really want the darker color. So I'm going to go back to the Blue Haven. And I am going to avoid going underneath. I want to stay on the top of the branches, not underneath. Because I kept wiping it out previously. So I would do shading underneath, and then I'd come back and I'd wipe it out with the lighter color, and I don't want to do that. Now this is all pretty light up here. Yeah. That's looking good. And that's not even white. If you come back with a little bit of white, you'll get even more. I just had a little bit of that spray, the white there. So you'll get even more brightness with that. it into the middle. I don't want to completely lose some of the blues that I had. Okay. I'm just going to leave that for now. And move on to something pretty straightforward. Sometimes when I'm doing snow people, I like to start with like light buttermilk or buttermilk and then build up the white. But this time I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and paint her white, snow white. And again, I guess you could use warm white and then do some dry brushing. And I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to go in with snow white. And you can just brush up to here. You have this piece, so if you go into the hat area, that's okay. There's no piece that goes up here, but you know, you can brush up, and if you want to do it with a dry brush or just a flat. So it's a 3/4 inch flat. Just 2 coats should do it, you would think. Actually, I should be sponging this. I'll put my first coat on brushed, but yeah, I meant to sponge it. So I want that texture. Okay, first coat done. Okay, the first coat is mostly dry. I'm going to come back with my sponge now. And of course, these sponges, if you wash them out while the paint is still wet, you can reuse the sponges, these craft sponges especially, over and over and over and over and over again. But if you let the paint dry in the sponge, then it's a lot harder to resurrect it. So I'm really trying to get bubbles. I want as many bubbles as I can get. Yep, that's looking bubbly. Wonder if I turn off this light, if it's, yeah, you can really see the bubbles now. So I always like the feel and look of a crushed velvet on a hat for like Victorian women. I don't know if it's Victorian era, but anyway, so I wanted to do like a purpley crushed velvet hat. By the way, this is still drying. This is the white. You can tell I got rid of that black lino grip. It wasn't exactly holding pieces in place, and it was causing a lot of glare. So I have these 3 colors that will work together. So that would probably be more the shading one. That's plum, mulberry, and then that would be frosted plum for a little bit of highlight, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and use the middle color, which is mulberry, to sponge the hat. So that goes there. Okay. So get a sponge. I really like these craft sponges. I know a lot of people end up using the makeup sponges. I think there was a point when some of these craft sponges just weren't available and people had to use the makeup sponges. But craft sponges are available again. I'm able to order them. And because they have slightly larger holes in them where, oh God, so much hair. When you have a very hairy dog, hair gets everywhere. He sheds more than any dog I've ever had. But anyway, this in some ways is more condensed, even though you can see holes in it. But this, you just get a lot more texture coming off these yellow craft sponges. Now, one thing I'm starting to see, and it's not going to matter because she's going to be glued down solidly. Anytime you're dealing with laser cut pieces, you do get some warpage. That everything, usually what I do, if the back is going to show or if it's going to be an issue, I paint the back as well, and then things will tend to level out a little bit. And a second coat of the mulberry. Sponging. That should be enough coverage with that. So now, since I have fuchsia pop in the ombre background, I'm going to go ahead and put this as the base coat onto the heart. When you have smaller pieces, you can switch to this. You don't get as much texture, but you still do get texture sponging with these. I call them sponge sticks. So they're pretty helpful on smaller pieces. That was kind of in between. You could have used regular sponge. Now that this sponge is dirty, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sponge this whole thing in fuchsia pop. Now I'm thinking, because I'm going to do two colors on the scarf. I'm going to do fuchsia pop, and I'm going to do this torrid orange. And I'm trying to think which one I want as my base. I think actually I want the orange as my base. I have no idea how this is going to look, but this is kind of something I had in my mind, and it could fail miserably. I don't know how it's going to turn out. But the good thing about paint, if you don't like the color you pick, is paint back over it with something you do like. So I'm just doing something a little bit different. I just want slightly different colors than what you might expect. And this I definitely could have used a craft sponge, but since I'd already gotten this side dirty, I thought I'd just go ahead and use it. This torrid orange is so vibrant. It's cool. I really like it. So I've got 2 coats of everything now. I should have done this while I was doing the green previously, and when I was doing trees, but I didn't. So I'm going to come back with this fairway green onto this little, I guess it looks more like mistletoe. It doesn't really look like holly. So it looks like mistletoe. Or it could be any wintry bush. And because it's just any wintry bush, you can make it any wintry green. So that I need 2 coats as well. All right. Okay, so that's 2 coats of Fairway Green, and of course I went and washed out my brush. I got most of the dryness out of it. I mean, I didn't completely wash it out. I need to really get it clean. But here I am having to redo this because I forgot. Is there any more green besides the tree and the mistletoe? Now, we don't have to necessarily do this the same way because it isn't the same, you know, kind of bush tree, whatever. But I'm gonna kind of do some of it similarly. And the other thing, I'm not really sure what this piece is. Okay, so I did 2 coats of the Fairway Green. Now this is supposed to be greenery on top of that. See, I should have, that needed some Fairway Green as well. Okay, because I was trying to think, well, is it a star? No, it's supposed to be greenery. So I'll do that. And I was just putting a bit of Dragon Teal onto this piece, and of course I'll need to do it on this too, so I gotta dry that. Maybe try to go from the bottom on the Dragon Teal, thinking that the bottom is going to be the darker area. Okay, I think I need to do a little drying. So I have a pause button on my recording, so you don't have to listen to me drying these pieces. Yeah, okay, so it does, it fits directly there. So it's just to lift it up. Now, one thing I would think to do is you want this top piece to be lighter. So that's something to keep in mind. Right now it needs another coat of Fairway Green. But even though I'm going to have this piece be lighter, I am still going to start dark and just make it lighter than this piece. So I do like, I'm mostly doing this underneath with the darker color. Okay. So, I don't know. That may have been Mermaid Teal. And then this is Dragon Teal. So Mermaid Teal is darker. Dragon Teal's is a little bit lighter. It's got a little bit more blue in it. Okay, so kind of going again from the bottom. And this, I need to commit and make one side a little bit lighter and one a little bit darker. I don't know. Never mind. That's me thinking out loud. Okay. So this will get progressively lighter. And, okay. Next step up is Grecian Blue. Since this is lighter, I'm going to keep it more towards the top. I'm going to call that top. Okay, and we need to go lighter still, so I'm going to go gingham. Wait, so that was Grecian. And where's my gingham? Oh, it fell down. Okay. Okay. And so the lightest is Blue Haven. And of course it's not really true Blue Haven or these colors because you're working with a dirty brush. So you're kind of blending colors. Do something a little weird. I'm going to take a little bit of that torrid orange, and when you mix it with blue, you start to get just a little bit of green. So I'm just going to introduce that, because that will create a completely different element. Okay, yeah, I like that. Okay, so we have these berries, and you know, normally you're thinking red, but because I am not going to use red in this piece, I'm going to do other things. So that's a little bit of the torrid orange. And that's a little bit of the fuchsia pop. Okay. So like the bird, because we're not using any red, I'll have to figure out what colors I'm going to do with the bird, because everything is kind of pink tones, blue tones, gray tones. So it could be, we could go blue, we could go blue-gray. I think that's probably what we'll do. It's kind of like a blue-gray. Okay, so I'm gonna clean this space up just a little bit. So back to this piece, I want to add in a little bit lighter. So we finished with Blue Haven, and I still have a dirty brush. I'm going to get some Snow White. Oh yeah, this had orange in it too. So I got to get that orange out. And come back with that little bit of Blue Haven there, and some more white. Okay. Okay, so a lot of the subtle highlights, I kind of wait till the end at times to do that. Okay, I do this all the time when I'm dry brushing. So I have a loaded up brush, it's got stuff in it. There's not a lot in it, but I kind of like this color that I mixed. And it's Blue Haven, it's got a little bit of torrid orange, it's got white in it, and it just made a really interesting aqua. And it matches. So sometimes if you have a dirty brush, it's like, I'll just play with it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in fuchsia pop stripes now. So this is a baby wipe. Baby wipes are really good for getting the paint out of your dry brush. And sometimes you can just wrap it up and set it aside until you can wash this. So just wrap it in your baby wipe. Okay, until you're over there and able to clean it. Let me get a little bit of a nice flat number 6 and my fuchsia pop. So this first coat is going to be a little bit more translucent. Okay, so I need to do some shading, and I think I'm gonna come back with this mulberry and go over the fuchsia pop area. So the fuchsia pop isn't popping exactly the way I wanted. If I wanted it to be brighter, I could always paint like buttermilk or something, or white, and then come back. But I'm okay with it. It's just kind of a natural, it's kind of an organic, natural look. Again, this is the mulberry. So we're going to concentrate towards the bottom of each stripe. Very, very good. And then what I'm going to do on the top to make it, on the top of the line, to make it a little bit more highlighted, is I'm going to add some more fuchsia pop. So in a sense, that's like adding a third coat, and it should be a little brighter. And if it isn't bright enough, then I'm going to come back with fuchsia pop and a little bit of white and brighten it some more. So I will take a little bit of Snow White and my fuchsia pop and do a little highlight to brighten up some of the top. And I will do a whole proper highlight too across the top of the scarf. But this is just for each of the stripes. So this really should be darker. So, because that one is tucked right underneath the other part of the scarf. So it needs to be darker. I'm just gonna go over all of that. That is a vibrant scarf. Okay, so now I'm going to take the warm sunset and I'm going to shade the torrid orange areas. Curious how this is all starting to look. That is some bright and shiny scarf, and I love it. I do. I love it. It is pretty cool. Okay. So I'm going to add in a little bit more highlighting with white. Sometimes I'll do all the finishing touches after, at the end, like where I'm like, oh yeah, I need white over here, or I need white over there, or I need to add in some black lines here. But sometimes I'll just do it as I go. It just depends. Very nice. I like that. And while I'm doing that, I will add in some white highlights on this mistletoe-y thing. Too much. That's why we have fingers. Fix boo-boos. Okay, so this is interesting. It's for those of you who do a lot of shading. I usually use Josanya shading brushes. They're my favorite. This one is so beaten up. I have to buy them and replace them all the time. But this is really a stiff shading brush. It's very interesting. It's a DecoArt brush. And this is the first time I've tried them. So I got these as a gift from Tracy Moreau. Thank you, Tracy. That was kind of a very wet highlight. My dog is in the art studio and he's been eating a chew. Now he's drinking water and he's slobbering, and yeah, well, anyway. My art studio would feel very lonely and empty without him, so. And I don't know which is going to be up or down. I think that's the way it goes. I'll just put a little bit of white up here. so what we are going to do is take a little bit of the fuchsia pop and a little bit of white and do some dry brushing. Get another dry brush here. Okay. So a lot of people don't like to mix colors, but a lot of times if you are able to do some mixing, it gives you the ability to keep the tone of colors that you already have in your art piece, instead of chopping and changing, get another color. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out, I want it to be a step lighter than what that is. So just kind of concentrate towards the top of the heart. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that mulberry that I've been shading with, and I'm going to put it towards the bottom of the heart. Oops. Well, you're not supposed to do that. And I'll reinforce that shade with just a little bit more. And now that that's dry, I'm going to get a little bit more Snow White, and I'm going slightly lighter, and I'm not covering quite as much as I did previous. Then I'm going to get a little bit more Snow White and make it a little bit lighter. So this is just a process in dry brushing of layering colors. Go a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter, and that ought to be good enough. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little bit weird. I've got Torrid Orange here. Just going to add in just a little bit here and there. Okay, just brings these pieces in. So now we're going to look at the hat. So for the hat, this part here is going to be the brightest. It'll be darker here. There'll be some lightness here. So we'll do some dry brushing. And so that was mulberry, I think. Yeah, it was mulberry. So the plum and the mulberry are very similar. I'm not really sure how much of, if I need the plum, stick to the mulberry. Okay, so the next color is Frosted Plum. Okay. I am thinking I'll probably start with the mulberry and I will work up to the lighter color, but I kind of want to add some mulberry into my brush. And then I'm going to add in a little of this frosted plum. Okay, so it's mulberry to start with and frosted plum. Okay, so we can go over quite a bit of, in fact, we can go over the whole thing. And we're trying to get this look of crushed velvet, so we're wanting the sponge texture to show through. So this is a combination again of mulberry and then the frosted plum. We're pretty much going over the whole area. Once the brush gets drier, you can really go over the area. When it's wet, you have to be careful that you're not too aggressive, because you'll end up with wet spots everywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to start transitioning to more frosted plum. And I don't want to go quite as far down. Okay, and now we're going to do something. We want to tie in some of the fuchsia pop, so I'm going to add some fuchsia pop to my brush. And that color I was keeping more towards the top, not so much down here. So it's starting to get some nice dimension. Okay, so take my dirty brush, and I'm dipping into white now. And I will do that again, but I'm going to do something a little weird. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that fuchsia pop that was left, a bit more white. There wasn't much of the fuchsia pop that was left in that brush, but so it's mostly white with a tinge of pink. Okay, so there you go. So you could have a little bit of shade here. It's not really necessary, because the original mulberry also serves as kind of a shade. But we could come in with like an asphaltum So I might use mulberry and asphaltum together because I think the brown on its own is going to be too strong. So I really want the two of these colors working together. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of put that down so I know sort of where that brim is. It's not very strong. I'll do that one more time. So a little bit of the mulberry and a little bit of the asphaltum. Work them together. Come back over here. Lay down your line, your shade, and walk it out a little bit. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. I think that the asphaltum on its own would have been too strong. Okay, so this piece goes like that. And then the little berries go there. The little birdie goes there. I'm not through with the bird, but... And the heart is here. And the scarf is there. Oh, wow. That's starting to look very interesting. So what does it look like all together? Couldn't get my jar. Okay. I just love this piece so much. Let me go out a little bit. So I can see, oh, actually the trees are going there because I was thinking we need to shade. And we still might as a finishing thing. So it's definitely starting to shape up. Got little buttons. I need to do her nose. And I need to do more on the little twigs and the tree stumps. All that needs to be a little bit lighter. Yeah. I'm just looking at the trees to decide whether I like them or not, but everything is definitely in the same color motif, that's for sure. Okay, so I will continue on. So I wonder on the buttons, what fun color we should do those in. Maybe blue. I think that might be nice to bring in some blue. In fact, I might make the bird a little bluer. Because there's just a little bit too much muchness now. So I think I'm going to make the bird blue. Okay. And the buttons blue. And then nose blue. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Alrighty. So, I'm going to do warm sunset first. Instead of going with the torrid orange, I'm going to start with warm sunset, but it's a dirty sponge, so some of that torrid orange is going to come out anyway. Ooh, that makes for an interesting effect. So I do a lot of this kind of stuff where I've got brushes or sponges that are already loaded up, and I use them in different areas to bring the colors together. I don't know. It's something I like to do. Okay. So, like I said, I want to bring in some blue. Dragon teal, that's too close to the shrubs or the mistletoe. So I'm going to add in some Grecian blue on a sponge. So it kind of wipes out a little bit of what I've already done, but if you do it lightly, you can still keep some of those colors underneath. Well, there was a bit of color left in this sponge that I didn't notice. So now I've got black spots. Now, how did that happen? It must have rolled in the paint. Okay, try that again. That's disappointing. So there was just a tiny little bit of paint. It must have just rolled in when I wasn't paying attention. Okay, go back here. Yeah, I think it was on my palette. I didn't even notice there was a little bit of brown in that area. So we've had to wipe out the color underneath because of that. So he's all blue now. And these are going to be blue. So I got a liner brush, and I had a little of the torrid orange that I put there, but I'm also going to use a little saffron yellow. And I'm going to get a dry brush with that saffron yellow. And I'm just going to bring it in at the top. And I'm going to mix in a little of the torrid orange. And maybe a little bit more. And then I've come back with a little bit more saffron yellow. So now I want to get a little bit of the warm sunset. And your shading brush, and you're going to just shade along the bottom. Just like that. Okay, so now the bird has lost all the fun dimension it had because I ended up having that little boo-boo of traveling color, which I think it's time to get another piece of palette paper. I might use a little bit of asphaltum down here where I put the warm sunset. So just shade a little of that. Need more yellow there as well, saffron yellow. Okay, I think I am going to deal with the twigs and the trunks of the tree. So we need some light here, and I think probably dry brushing would be the best way to get it. So I've got a dirty dry brush already that's got some yellow in it. Try to make that beak a little yellower. So anyway, we have sable brown and honey brown. So honey brown is lighter. Let me start with the sable brown. Oh, it is a brand new bottle. Surprise! Oh, my camera is shifting. Oh, and I can probably move in one more. There we go. Okay, brand new bottle. Sable brown. Sable brown. And it's got yellow. Okay, not to worry. So this is the traditional old way of changing colors in your brush. It's called wasting paint. It isn't really. It isn't wasting. Okay, so we're going to brighten. I'm not liking the way that color is going on there. It's not really doing what I was hoping. Okay, more sable brown. I expected like a real sharp difference. So if it's wetter, certainly you're going to get that. So it's wetter, and I'm dragging it across the edges, so you get that interesting effect. Okay. So there's a lot of texture because this suede product, has built-in texture. Okay, so I'm going to go to the honey brown now. So that was the sable brown. So this is a little bit of a step up. Step up. Lighter color. So that suede kind of absorbs some of the color, it looks like. So I wonder, I'm going to get a lighter, I'm going to use a little bit of fawn, which is much lighter. And we're going to try to get these twigs. I'm not as concerned about the tree trunks, but I really want to get a little bit of lightness on the twigs. And I don't want it everywhere. Oh yeah, like that. So they're starting to come to life now. Use a little bit more. So when you go again to add your lighter color, it just gradually gets lighter and lighter as you replace the darker shade that you were using when you layer up with your dry brushing. Yeah, that I think probably helps. So let's see what this looks like now. It's not quite in place, but enough to really get a feel for it. Okay. Yeah, that, ooh, that makes such a difference. They were so flat a little while ago. I could even go a little lighter, not on the trunks, but on these guys. And now I just realized I was concentrating on the wrong areas for brightness, so it goes that way. Because you want the tops to be the lighter, and I had the twigs turned upside down. So, like, I wasn't getting enough brightness there. So sometimes putting these pieces in place does actually help you to visualize what you're doing. Especially if you think that something is up and it's actually down. Okay, so there you go. There they are. I'm much happier with that. Yay! Okay, so I call those almost done. They probably need a little bit of a float of white. I wonder, actually, let me try a little bit of dry brush white. Okay. Okay, so set those aside. Now, we've got the bird. So, let me look at the gingham blue. I've got a dirty brush that's got some other colors in it, and I ain't gonna worry about it. So I'm gonna, now on your buttons, you just have to decide what is bottom and what is top. So now we know what top is. It's where the lighter color is. Okay, we're gonna come in and add some highlights to the birdie. So there was a little bit of pink in the brush, and that's adding in some interest. And one more round of lightening it up. I don't know, I might actually go a little bit whiter because there's a lot of pink in that. So let me see if I can get more of that white in there and less of the pink. Okay. Okay. And of course we'll do like a little black eye on that guy. So let's see. What are we missing? What are we missing? There's the birdie. There's the buttons. Okay, let me look at that. So we need to do some shading on the snow person, the snow lady. I still want to come back with a little bit more white. So once I have if I use a clean dry brush and do white, I will come back and add in some white all over. So I could do a float of white. You can do a stroke of white as well. But I need to do the snow person now. And I'm trying to decide whether I need to go with, well, I know what I'll do. There's some of the tannins that are trying to come through. So I'm going to put in some, whatchamacallit, cheek color. And then after I do that, I'm going to come back and dry brush over that. And it helps to take the cheek color back a little bit and then brighten the white as well. But yeah, so everything needs a little bit of white here and there. And she needs her shading. And you can come back and add shading in here in the background, but I don't know if I want to do that. I haven't decided. Okay, so now I need to take all these little pieces off. And so since we've been going with some pink tones, and we already have pink in the brush, I am going to see how much is actually left in the brush. I probably got a little aggressive with the pink. That's they're bigger cheek color than I wanted. I made it covering a lot larger space. That wasn't really my intention. Okay, now I am going to take the Blue Haven or gingham blue. That's the question. So Blue Haven is very light. Yeah, let's try Blue Haven. And we're going to go around, and it is our shading color. Let me try this shading brush. If I don't like it, I'll switch to my bigger one. So of course we're shading underneath the scarf. And also we'll be shading underneath the hat brim. So hat brim goes right about there. So I'm just gonna kind of put a little bit of a line, but I don't want a solid line. I want to smooth that out, and I'll come back and build on that. And the same with the scarf. So you can see where I went straight there, and it's not actually a straight line under the scarf. So it's always a good idea to come in with the piece, and then check where you need to have your various shades. And then when you lift the piece, you want to get rid of any straight lines that you've created. Okay, so that helps you to know where everything is located. Smooth out some of those lines, and we'll go back over it. So, okay. So now it's time to reinforce the shades and walk them out a little bit. This one, try to get a little bit of a shade right in between the two scarves. And of course, some of this is covered up, so like you don't have to be perfect, do ya? Or I don't have to be perfect. So there are a couple of ways to send some of the shading back and send some of the dry brushing back. So you can dry brush everything with white, or you could use a color wash of white, where you take Snow White, you water it down, slather it on, and then blot it up. And that's really fast. Dry brushing takes a little bit longer. So I think we might try a color wash. Oops, uh-oh, there went a brush. So I got a big old juicy brush and some white, and now I'm gonna get some water. So let my brush get nice and soaked. I'm going to bring out some of this white, mix it. Okay, that's pretty good inky consistency. I've got a paper towel as well. Okay, so we're going to start slathering it on, just like that. Okay, then we're going to take our paper towel. We're going to just quickly blot it, but not too much. You don't want to just lift everything you just did. Okay, so now I'm going to dry it. Okay, so then you look at it and you think, okay, that's good enough, or no, I want to do it again. And in my situation, I think I'll do it again. I think I will do it again. Okay. So slap it on really fast. Okay, get your paper towel, dab it a little bit, lift. Oops, I see an area I missed. Okay. There's another area I missed. Okay, That looks like the coverage I want. Perfect. Because you don't want the blue to overtake the snow. Okay, I'm going to dry this. So I'm going to start hitting all these spots with Snow White and a dry brush. And I'm going to see if I like that, because you can still come back and do a float, or you can do a stroke of white. I'm going to start with dry brushing it and see how that all starts to come together. If you want it to be a little bit brighter, you can bring over a wetter brush. And who's to say she's not got a little bit of snow on her hat? Okay, there we go. So definitely need it just a little bit more brightness and whiteness. There's that. And what else do we have? Okay, so now I need to splatter, and of course I need to do the eyes, and there's a little snowflake there, the eyes and the smile. So I can probably, I don't know what all I want to leave in place while I splatter. I think I want to move the snowman out of the way, snow lady, while I splatter. I'll leave the trees. So you could use a stencil and put dots in the background. You can do physically dots, or you can splatter and you can do some physical dots as well. But I'm gonna try doing a splatter. And there's different ways you can splatter. This is an Erica Joanne specialty. It's actually a denture brush. So she actually sells them on her website for splattering, and they're denture brushes. So that's kind of a cool thing. An extra way to use a tool. Okay. So I'm gonna, ooh, that was way too much splatter. Don't need that in there either. Okay. So then after you do that, bit more splatter up at the top. Looks more like a galaxy, Milky Way than snow. Okay, so I'm going to get a stylus now, and I'm going to add in larger dots. Okay, so Snow White. Some of this is going to be behind the lid, but right now I don't know what is and what isn't, so I'm just going to dot. We're gonna do the eyes. So if you get like a little round brush, not necessarily a liner, but or the other thing you can do is you can use a stylus and kind of draw in the eyes into that spot. And I did make some boo-boos there. As it dries, I'll come in and touch it up, but I'm going to add in some color to the eyes as well. And I want to see if I've got a silver marker. Took a silver marker. It isn't exactly what I wanted, but I'm going to do some glittery stuff on it as well. So I have finishing touches to do, like little dots and some other things, and I do want to do the eyes. Let me dry that so I can show you how I want to color the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the gingham blue. Gingham. I mean, you just need a tiny bit. So we're going to add in a little shade color to the eye. Okay. So it's just going to be a little swoop color down here. So fast and easy. Little swoop of color. So not everybody does that with their eyes. They'll just leave black eyes, but black eyes, that sounds weird. But it's just something that adds a little cool feature. Let me see. One side is not all the way up where I want it. You know, if you're dealing with tiny, super tiny eyes, of course you're not going to do that, but there's actually enough space on there on this pattern to do this. So I'm going to put in, yep, I'm just having issues. There we go, paper towel. Okay, so then we also need a white dot. Ugh, everywhere. Are they dots or are they snow? If they're snow, they're very uniform. Okay. Okay. All right, so in the morning with fresh eyes, I am going to finish this up. But first of all, let me put it together so we can see what it looks like. So tomorrow morning I will look at this and see what else I need to do for finishing. I definitely need glitter over here where the silver is, but I don't like to spray fix everything until, well, I don't like to put glitter down until I've varnished, because the varnish will dull the glitter. So it all needs to be spray sealed. Okay, well, that is all for now. And I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back on the camera to show you, show you my face, because it's late. My hair's a mess. I don't even know. But anyway, I'm going to finish up this piece, and of course the video is going to have a picture at the front and the back of this finished piece, so you'll see what it looks like. So thank you very much for watching my tutorial. This is Kathy McAllister of Tea Wife Creations. I will see you soon. Bye bye. Love you guys.